Three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Founders Log. I'm your host and creator of American Butcher's Jerky. Today we are talking about the past, the present, and the future of our business, American Butcher's Jerky. We are a small beef jerky company. I'd like to say that we have one of the best beef jerky brands, one of the best beef jerky kind of businesses, only because we support some pretty incredible organizations and support some pretty incredible people. For those of you who haven't been following around the journey, we talk about everything that is behind the scenes to American Butcher's Jerky. That's from where we first start our project, where we buy animals directly to support local American agriculture. We buy from FFA 4-H kids. We buy from just our local communities in Nebraska and the Midwest to support and preserve that American agriculture. And then in return, one of our best features, I think, one of our most promising features is, and we've been doing it for a while now, is that we strive ourselves on donating beef jerky to the men and women currently serving overseas. To date, American Butcher's Jerky has donated, drum roll please, donated over 664 bags to date to men and women currently serving overseas. We've donated it to like 14 different countries. We've donated to the Marines, the United States Marines, the Army, the Air Force. We haven't done a Coast Guard yet. That is something that I definitely want to get on. But we've done the Navy. We've done everybody. I just can't think of a Coast Guarder. So if you know someone who is in the Coast Guard, or you are in the Coast Guard, reach out to us, and we would love to make that possible. Today, our sponsor is the coffee that I'm drinking this morning, is our Sunday Best. They've been our sponsor for a little bit now, only because it's the only coffee that I have in my shelf. So, that being said, if you are a coffee advocate or you have a pretty good coffee brand, reach out to us, let us know, and I would love to just bring it up on the podcast. We usually do these things every Saturday morning, so it's nice to have a cup of coffee while we talk about our discussion today. But today, September 4th, Founders Log Iteration Episode number 25. Last week, we left off with the 10 digital tips and tricks of marketing. And usually how we break these down is this podcast, how we break this down is we spend the beginning of the episode talking about the past, everything that has happened for American Butcher's Jerky in the past week. Then we move on into kind of the present, what we are currently working on to date right now. And then we progress a little bit forward and look at the future of American Butcher's Jerky, talking about where we kind of see ourselves not only in the next week, but something that we're working on for the goals and objectives in the next month. And this is not just a highlight of American Butcher's Jerky. I also like to talk about some of the lowlights and some of the things that I'm learning to say something we didn't do well, something that we're struggling here at American Butcher's Jerky. Social media has been this platform to only show the highlights in something or someone's life. So what that does is give us the opportunity to change that up a little bit and deep dive into not only the highlights. Let's talk about the lowlights, and there's a lot more to a business than just running it successfully. So without further ado, like I said, last week we talked about the 10 marketing digital tips and tricks, and we said that we were going to focus on one specific one. So out of those 10, we're essentially brand new and talking about the first one, which happens to be focusing on organic social media. So what is that? Well, briefly last week, I kind of covered the outline, but what we're going to do today is kind of talk about it a little bit in more detail, talk about how I kind of took my perspective, what I gained from it, what we are currently working at and implementing. So without further ado, today's topic is focusing on organic social media. That's content collaboration, that's consistency, and that's just content in general. Something that we've been focusing on and looking at is this mostly applies to Instagram. So right now, American Butcher's Jerky has been pretty much hammering all of our attention on Instagram. It's something that we've kind of had a beast with in the beginning. And I read this quote in a book when I was like 2 years ago. And it talked about social media verification and that a validation also comes from the verification of social media. So having 5,000 followers kind of almost makes you a valid, verified business, and you're utilizing that through social media. So if you get a million followers on your Instagram, that validation from your followers kind of verifies your business, and it shows that you're out there. Now, having 400 followers like we do, for example, is not a bad thing, but most people just won't be as verified or validated that your business is actually a structured organization, and sometimes that can kind of be a hinder or a hurt. So this 10 digital marketing tips and tricks was something that we're kind of incorporating, not only for us here at American Butcher's Jerky, but to be able to give you guys and talk about what we are kind of coming up with. So some of the big things that we do is with Instagram, we look at the analytic performance. So we look at how our post has been engaging with the audience, how we've been getting feedback from our customers, what is working and what isn't. So for the first topic, when we talk about this social media Instagram content is specifically related to Instagram, and then all of our Instagram posts actually are shared to Facebook. So we kind of just incorporate the two into one, and it makes our life a hell of a lot easier. So essentially what happens is, obviously, it comes down to three key components. So content, collaboration, and consistency. So I'm going to just talk about content here and kind of work my way down into this kind of outline that I have here on my desk, just to make this conversation a little more easier, a little more thought out and processed, because I think one of the things that's very important is writing down things. So even in your idea, just creating some big bullets and then taking those bullets and then deep diving like one step into that, and then take that one step and go 2 steps into it. It just allows your brain to kind of create a plan or a framework for what you're doing. So without further ado, content is something that Instagram, social media is all about. And so figuring out the right content can be a pretty big struggle, and something that we've determined and what we've decided is it's all about creating your top performing content, and you do that by checking your analytics. So what did American Butcher's Jerky, what did we do on our Instagram? So we looked at the last 90 days, so 3 months, and Instagram has an amazing feature on their business profile that allows you to select the date range and gives you all the analytics through that date range. So we decided to look back at the last 3 months and figure out, okay, what worked best for our specific posts? What were these types of posts? What is something that really engaged with audience a lot more? And what of these posts did we not promote using ads? So what posts generated attraction organically? So when we were looking at these posts over the last 90 days, we saw 3 trends. Those were our military troop posts. So like I said in the beginning, American Butcher's Jerky donates bags of beef jerky to service members overseas. And in return, we ask those soldiers to send us pictures so that we can, one, share with all of our audience and engagement about what we do. But our primary focus is to give those pictures back to those men and women back in the States, friends, family members, strangers who actually purchase these bags of beef jerky, and we want them to physically see where their donation went to. So it's a pretty cool, awesome concept, and it allows kind of a full circle to be able to have a customer donate a bag. Then that donated bag goes to a service member overseas. He gets to take a picture saying how much he enjoyed it, how much he appreciated it, and then we get to ship that right back to the customer and say, hey, this is where your donation specifically went to, and this is how much impact this donation gave to our soldiers overseas. So military troop posts were a lot of great feedback on our analytics, a lot of likes, a lot of comments, a lot of shares. The next thing we noticed a lot of people appreciating is our outdoor posts about jerky. So kind of what we are trying to determine is the direction of our brand. Where is beef jerky for us? Where is beef jerky going to take us? When do you eat beef jerky? And this is something that this kind of helped us figure out our target audience, in which we saw a lot of people appreciating jerky on the go. So that's going on hikes, that's going on fishing trips, that's going out and about traveling. So a lot of people utilize our beef jerky in those specific areas. And so what better way than on our posts to create more posts related to beef jerky when we're moving, when we're grooving, when we're getting out. My mother always said a quote that memories aren't made on the couch. And so even if it's like a Saturday and you're just wanting to like chill, relax on the couch, memories aren't made on the couch because it's all about just getting out. And so we want to incorporate the beef jerky with the memories and allow you guys to take beef jerky on the go wherever you're going. Our final post out of our 3 posts that we kind of crunched down the numbers was a behind the scenes post. So taking a picture about what it is that we're doing, writing up a caption that has to do with exactly what it is that we're doing. So making sure that we're talking about the story, making sure that we're talking about the behind the scenes, giving the customer and the audience an opportunity to engage in the business and see behind the scenes. Not only just seeing the front of American Butcher's Jerky, but being able to take a step back, looking at what it is that we're doing behind closed doors. And so those 3 types of posts were something that I noticed were working out very well for us. We had a lot of engagement, a lot of feedback, and something to also note, and I'm going to add these 3 words, it's impressions, reach, and interactions. So those 3 are kind of the big key: impressions, reactions, interactions. So that's how your customers and your gain in determining what your 3 most important posts are, your type of post based off your analytics. Something that I did see a lot of other times is we utilize the importance of Instagram hashtags. So typically on some of our more predominant posts, we had around 8 hashtags. Myself is still learning what the hell even a hashtag is, but you essentially just put keywords. You take the pound symbol and you put some keywords to specific phrases about what you're doing. For example, hashtag behind the scenes or hashtag beef jerky. It allows kind of a connection. You're building these connections using these keywords so customers can see specifically towards keywords what it is that you're engaging with, what it is that you're working on. Another thing with story posting. So when I went and did the behind the scenes, a lot of people appreciate the story that you're telling within the pictures. So go ahead and not just explain something that you're working on, but kind of give a story. Talk them like you're telling them a story about your business, a story about American Butcher's Beef Jerky. And a lot of people can resonate and they can work with and think about what it is that story is telling and unfolding. Next big topic. So we covered content. Next is all about collaboration. So what is collaboration? How does it work? So on social media, a lot of people are doing the exact same thing you're doing. They're promoting their brand, they're engaging with their customers, and they're kind of creating their own little community. So essentially what this does is collaboration allows you to collaborate, exactly as it says, with other businesses. So this could be influencers, pages, or brands. And what you're doing is you're building a collaboration of like-minded people that give your business attention, but it's also important to make sure that you're giving their business the attention that it deserves. So for example, letting them say thank you, working out together, a future together with discounts or programs. These are all different collaboration ideas. And so you kind of have to figure out what works best based off your content and your strategy. So something that American Butcher's Jerky has been working on is I took 3 kind of pages, brands, or influencers. So those are Brotalion. Brotalion is an aviation army. They focus with troop deployment. And so I took the company that we work with and I broke it up into 3 specific sectors. So Brotalion is an aviation apparel company. They support men and women currently serving also in the military. And what they do is it's a Black Hawk community. And so being that I'm a pilot, being that I'm in the United States military, being that I am all about supporting military, the kind of connection between us and Brotalion was pretty awesome. And so we've done a lot of drawings. We've done a lot of interactions with them. We sent them beef jerky when they had the fundraiser, and they raffled off some of our beef jerky. So that connection allows us to work with another company to kind of build that bridge and kind of allow our audience to know who Brotalion is, and vice versa, to allow Brotalion to know who American Butcher's Jerky is. The next one we've been working heavily with is Era of Tech. It's a person, so he's an influencer. And he's in the military. He's a drill sergeant, but his big focus is about motivation and fitness. Something that I personally am getting into is fitness, and he gives that idea about motivating. So something that we've seen a lot of our posts that are related to motivation have been doing extremely well. So we've been working on building that connection with him and supporting his lower enlisted soldiers, lower officers, and allowing our beef jerky to kind of connect and engage with him. Finally, for those of you who don't know, all of our programs for fitness are actually done by Acid Gambit. He's a fitness, he has a new audience, and he's all about motivation. So he built almost all of our programs for fitness. So any of our Be Somebody came directly from him. And what that does is it allows us to work together when it comes to fitness, when it comes to building up new audiences. And he's kind of given us a little bit of feedback and the importance of social media and building that bridge moving forward. Finally, the big kicker in our three-tier process for organic social media is all about consistency. So what is consistency? Well, consistency has been highlighted as posting more at a consistent rate improves not only recognition, but also Instagram's algorithm. So we've decided that in order to post consistently, we had to build a schedule. And we had to figure out, okay, what are we going to post in these specific days? How are we going to post it? And I've outlined that almost a week ahead. That way we can continue to stay on this process and continue to develop and continue to unfold different things. So now that we can see that we know our top 3 posts, we know the 3 people that we need to engage with and collaborate with, it's time to now put all that in together to create a consistent brand. So how does that work? Well, we have 7 days in the week. And Instagram is all about consistency. So posting often, but not blowing ourselves out. Last week, I talked about how we tried to post every day for 7 days. And honestly, it was the most exhausting thing because we could never find enough pictures to post every single day. So now that we are on a different trend and we're starting to get back into the swing of things, we've decided that American Butcher's Jerky is going to post twice a week. Those 2 days are going to post on Monday and Friday. But we create stories for things that we're doing every single day. So it's all about posting consistently, looking at your top 3 posts, and then for the stories, creating random stories as well as structured stories depending on what it is that you're doing. So without further ado, I'll kind of explain this a little bit more. So we have a few different programs going on. So Monday, we post, and I typically like to make this post around 5 a.m. for our people back in the States, for the Central Time Zone. All these post times are given based off when and the idea of what we're trying to do. So a post, we like to create it up in the morning. That way when people wake up, the first thing they see is this post, and they might have a better engagement rate. Now, you can Google Instagram's best time to post Instagram stuff, and they'll probably give you a better time. But given that I'm working 15 hours ahead of the United States here in South Korea, that time structure really kind of screws up with my own personal time. So given that to post at 5 a.m. Central America time is posting 7 p.m. here in South Korea time. So we take one post, put it on Monday, and then we work on our fitness. So I'm all about Be Somebody. Like I said, we partnered with Acid Gambit to create fitness exercises, and those are done every single day. So I'm able to post a story about our fitness workout every single day, and I do that at 8 p.m. So at the end of the day, when a customer wakes up first thing in the morning or an audience member, they see our fitness program, and that's something that I just want because I want a customer to wake up, and if they're a 5 o'clock wake up gym goer, I want them to see it first thing they wake up and do it. And luckily, with me being so far ahead of time, I can make sure that that post is present right when they wake up. The next thing we work on is our daily thanks. So we recognize and we appreciate every single day for something that has happened to American Butcher's Jerky. And we tweet this out, and we're on day, I think, 45 right now, where we literally just kind of talk about what we are thankful for. It's important to recognize appreciation and gratitude, and so we've kind of consistently done this every single day. And what we do is we put it on Twitter, and then we share it on our Instagram just to kind of say, hey, this is what our jerky is appreciative for. This is why we are thankful for. It's sometimes not even related to the business. It's just like what I'm thankful for. Hey, we worked out with 16 different guys today, and I just wanted to give everybody out a shout out and say how awesome it was and motivational, because I think it's important to show recognition where recognition is due. So now that we kind of have the three big things, our pillars, we've broken it up by a weekly schedule. So Tuesday is the Be Somebody Daily Thanks Instagram stories. Wednesday is the Be Somebody Daily Thanks Instagram stories. Thursday is the Be Somebody Instagram stories. And Friday, we actually do the same type of structure we did on Monday. So that's one post for Friday, that's one Be Somebody, and that's one Daily Thanks. Now, the weekend can typically be a little bit different, only because we like to incorporate the blog on Saturday. So that's the Be Somebody on Saturday, that's the Daily Thanks on Saturday, and that's the blog post. So this Instagram story and this blog podcast goes up, and we share that. And then Sunday, we do a mental health post, because it's important to check our mental health, check in on our battle buddies, making sure that with suicide being a very high killer in the United States military, it's important that American Butcher's Jerky, for us and with our huge military community, to bring it full circle and really talk about mental health. So we post just saying, hey, check in on your battle buddies. If you ever need to talk to anybody, we're here. So our DMs are always open, and we try to respond to everybody. We also do the Daily Thanks, and then we do the Be Somebody. So that is kind of our content schedule for organic digital social media marketing. And that kind of covers our three big pillars of consistency, collaboration, and content. That is everything that we've learned in the past week. It's a lot, I know, but I think it's good. And I think that it's important to kind of break this out. It allows me to talk with you guys about what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're working on, and allows me to kind of think outside of the box. And I think this was just a great opportunity for me to kind of see areas of improving and seeing areas of where we needed to work on and actually check those analytics. So take some time, do a reality check with yourself on your own business. How are you guys doing social media? Or if you're not yet, utilize the kind of things we just talked about to incorporate your own social media strategy. Now that we are off everything that's happened in the past week, let's talk about what we currently are working on here at American Butcher's Jerky. And one of those things is all about this Instagram posting, and it's all about building up our promotional posts. So I don't want to cover a lot of it because we talked a good amount about it last week. But what we've done is we've promoted a post, and this was a motivational post, and it was doing extremely well for the past 2 weeks. And what we did was it's $7 for 7 days, makes it $49, and essentially this post has allowed us to build both paid social media and then our organic social media. So with those posts that we're creating. So I just want to talk about some of the statistics, given that this is the end of our next week. So this is our second week running this ad, and I gave everybody an update into last week's performance, and I want to continue to talk about this week's performance and essentially how this post is going. So last week we had 176 likes on the post. This week we have 360. So we're moving up on the likes factor. We also had only 4 comments last week. This week we have a total of 12, so the engagement between our audiences is getting better. We had 17 shares, so people that decided to send this post to somebody else was last week. This week we've had 36, so that number doubled. It gained a little bit more traction. And our favorite thing is out of 185 people who saved the post last week, this week we had 434 people save the post. So they thought, wow, this is a great motivational. This is awesome. This is something that I needed. So they saved the post and just kept it for themselves. Now, for this promotional tap, we had 257 last week. This week, we had 306. Moving on to profile visits, last week, we had 275 people visit us on our Instagram. This week, we had 605. And that number is important because I'll talk about it here at the end. With having 275 people visiting us last week to now 603 visiting us this week, you'd think we would have a lot more engagement, but I'm going to talk about it just briefly here at the end. Now, the people that we've reached with, last week we reached over 6,000 people. This week we've reached over 12,000 people. So literally the same dollar engagement did not increase the reach. So we kept the dollars the same, we kept the post times the same. So I guess we should have anticipated that our results were probably going to be the same. So here's the big thing. We received 46 followers on our last week's post. This week, we received 80. So we were just under our same goal reach. So given that our profile visits almost doubled, which should have happened since we obviously ran the post for another week. We hoped those results would go from 300 to 600, which they did, and we got a lot more profile visits, but our followers actually decreased a little bit. So last week, like I said, 46 followers, this week 80, so not quite the same attrition rate, but what we're going to continue to do is we're going to continue to run this post, and I'm going to run it another week. And the only thing that I think that I'm going to change is I'm going to bump the dollar amount up. Given that we ran it for 7 days for $7, so $49, I think we're just going to bump it up $1 and we're going to run it for 7 days for $8 and really just see where that dollar matters and see if that kind of builds any attraction. Now, are we focused here on building followers, building engagement on this post? We're not, but honestly, I haven't ever done anything with paid media. I haven't done anything with generating this type of paid content. So I think it's important to continue to generate this type of stuff just so we can have an understanding about it. So that way we keep the strong push on our organic side of social media and continue to create that content. But taking one post and doing something like this where the post is doing great, a lot of people are liking it and engaging with it. So why not just run one paid post and continue to let that get you some type of attrition rate and let you engage with some type of engagement. So that's pretty awesome. That's something we have just finished. We'll run another week's test and come back next Saturday and talk about the results and talk about kind of what happened and what worked. Now, moving on to our future week. What is American Butcher's Jerky working on in the next week? So that way we can come back here and have a topic about things that we've worked on that have been successful or things that we have worked on that aren't as successful. Number 2 in our 10 digital marketing tips and tricks is all about building an email list. And that's something that we have kind of touched on, but we haven't worked directly on. So something that we're going to do is build an email list, and I have some bullets here to talk about, but we're not going to talk about it right now. We're just going to leave it as to building an email list and working on kind of getting emails, working on our website to attract people to provide their emails. And emails are a great thing because they allow us to reach directly to a customer. So in Instagram, doesn't always go right to a customer. We might post and only half of our followers might actually see a post. Someone who follows and signs up for our emails will definitely see our emails come right into their email box, and they determine if they delete it, if they reply, if they open it, it allows our customer to really, it's the best way for us to engage directly to our customers. So that being said, we're coming up right into half an hour onto this podcast. So I want to take the time just to say thank you to everybody who's listened so far. Hopefully we've covered some pretty good ideas for you to develop your own business if that's what you're working on, or to give you a behind the scenes to American Butcher's Jerky about what we are currently doing running social media posts. So without further ado, I hope to see you guys all next weekend. And on that note, we will talk to you all later. American Butcher's Jerky, Calvin Wineland, out.